Hey guys, welcome to another All Bass Creations effects tutorials, demos, and review. Today, we're going to be going over what I use for my live setup, what I have on my Zoom B6, and what I use on my pedal board. This is my complete live setup at the moment. Um, my complete pedal board is right there. Yeah, I still haven't gotten good at that, but that's a complete pedal board, as well as the B6 over here. So, the B6 is also um, right there, so you'll be able to see all of my settings and things like that. So, we're going to start with everything bypass. This is just my bass sound. Now, this is just like my slap sound. I'm more so, you know. So that's just my dry bass sound, no effects, no anything. We're gonna start with the different preamps I would use with that, so you guys can get a sense of how I kind of build up my tone. Because yes, that's a decent tone. I could bring it up a little bit. But we want to get the reason that's so low is because by the time I boosted with the preamp and boosted again with the compressor and then boosted again with the B6 and the IRs and limiter and stuff like that, it gets to be pretty loud. So you don't want it to be over the top. So we're going to just start with what I would consider my Aguilar setup for in ears. And mind you, this is what's going to the house. This is not what's going to my amp. I'm gonna show you. If you look, matter of fact, if you look on the B6 on the bottom part of the screen, the bottom left of the screen, you'll see that I have a send, and that the send is sending to the amp. The dry is sending to the house, and I have it set to sub out mode. But then after the send, I have all the high R's, the limiter, and everything else that I want to run to the house. But everything, the volume pedal, stereo chorus, if I'm going to use it, it's not on right now. And as you can see with the red dot there, see the thing blinking. The ones that are red are on. That's off. So let's start with just the preamp. So as you can see, the Aguilar preamp is really clean sounding. So I'll use that a lot of times. This is my main tone at the moment. You know, these Aguilar preamps just came out, but this is what I've been using as my primary tone for fingerstyle. Slap, I've been going with the Eden, and like rock, or when I want a grittier tone or just like a really big tone, I'll go with the Ampeg. That's what I've been kind of doing lately. So next up, I will add the Spectracomp, which is a multi-band compressor, really good for boosting your signal, as well as keeping those frequencies in check. It's a 3-band multi-band compressor, so it compresses the lows, the mids, and the highs separately, which is a huge plus. Plus, you can alter everything from your phone, so that helps out a lot. So. So that's with the compressor added. Now, let me see something here. You're going to add these other effects. So let's take them off first. Leave the IRs. Volume pedal is just a volume pedal. You know, you don't need to really example of that. But this is just with the IR. So, you know, the IRs add quite a bit. This is my IR settings for this is the Aguilar with a tweeter. So it has the D20 mic and the SM57. What is this? What is this? What's on this thing? Yeah, I believe it's those two mics mixed together. So I don't use it, you know, it's only on 13. And I do like the phase inverted, so I do the negative 13. Then I, you know, boost the volume up from there. Then I'll add a limiter. These are the settings for the limiter. fingerstyle, I would just adjust my actual bass tone. So, definitely smooths it out, gives it a little bit of a boost, and then I'll add a little bit of um, room reverb. These are the room reverb settings. So, that's just the Aguilar preamp. So I'll just that's the Aguilar IRs, but a lot of times when I'm actually gigging, I'll keep my iPad. And this is my iPad, by the way, that you're looking at in the left bottom screen there. And I'll just be switching between these. It's a lot easier. And mixing those with different preamps. So my all Ampeg setup with the 410s and the tweeter sounds a little different. So here's that. And this is the SGT preamp, Spectra Comp, and let me see. Let me switch back over to BAM. So let me give you guys my settings. This is the settings for the SVT4 tweet with a tweeter IR. Here's the limiter. It's the same. The limiter and the room are the exact same as on all of them. I just kept those the same. So So that's pretty much the Ampeg setup. I also run that with the 810 IR. Those are the settings for the 810 IR. 810 with the D20 mic. And that way, and a lot of times I'll add in, if I'm using this one, I'll add in the SVT circuit on the SGT. You can mix that with the B15 circuit. Just flip the switch. So, you can get really in that rock territory if you wanted to. You just would crank up the gain on the distortion, on the overdrive, on the SVT, so if you wanted that distorted sound. So if I needed to get in the rock territory, it wouldn't be difficult. You got options, with the Ampeg, as well as I have my Eden, so I can run that through any of these, and I also use a 115 IR. Those are the settings for that. And I usually use that with the B15. That's the Ampeg 115 with no tweeter. So, I use it like that as well. And for something like that, I would change the DI on the as I had it on the solid state 2. That's my favorite one. That's the cleanest one. DI type if you're going to use them. Sometimes I play without the DI type. On the Zoom B6, there's DI types on the left side of your pedal here. See my hand waving here. Right here. So, for something like that, if I was gonna do more jazz type stuff, I would put it on the tube one. Whatever you're gonna do there. But I like tube 2 as well. Tube 2. So you got two DI types, and then you have 2 solid state types. So tube 2 is a lot less bottom added. It's a little more flat than the first tube DI type. So I do like this one if I'm going to use it for regular playing. I like tube 2 more, but if I'm going to use like synth or jazz type stuff, I like to use tube 1. Makes sense. But for slap and pop or like generally, if I'm just going to set it and forget it, I'm going to put it on solid state 2. Because that's the one I prefer. Or I'm not going to have it on at all because I actually like the way it sounds without it as well. So this is what it sounds like without it. Let's go back to go back to the Aguilar setup. So this is the Aguilar setup. So I'm gonna put on tube one. Now we're going to tube two. Now we're going to solid state one. And this is the DI types again on the Zoom B6. Now we're going to solid state two. This is without any of the DI types with them all bypassed. So they definitely add some characteristics to it. So if you don't want any extra color beyond what you have already, you got to turn those off because it's definitely going to add some color to it. So a lot of times too, I'll have my Eden preamp for my slap stuff primarily. If I'm just going to set it and forget it, I'll put on the Aguilar at this point, just because I like the way that Aguilar sounds. It's brand new, and I just like the way it sounds. It gives me that nice, clean sound. So, yeah. Let's hear some of the Eden with the Aguilar 410 tweeter IRs. See, I get plenty of sustain out of them things too. So, let's try that with the. I hate when it does this. Zoom, y'all got to get this together. I need an update with these Bluetooth chips that cost me an extra $40. Y'all got to get this together. I shouldn't have to keep reconnecting, especially during if it takes this long to reconnect. Look how long this take. You're in the middle of a show. That's how long you would have been out of a song if that would have happened in the middle of a song. It's ridiculous. And just so, if, in case you wonder, this is what it sounds like if I bypass the B6 completely. So it's not a bad sound. It's just when you have that B6 sound in there and then you even add in like the solid state too, then you got a whole different, it's just steps it up. Then you getting real nasty and funk in there. That Eden joint, that funk. So, even besides those sounds, the other tones I might use in the show, I might just use a straight up Ampeg SVT on the. This is all B6 right here. So, only thing I'm running on my pedalboard at the moment is going to be the Spectra comp, and everything else is going to be this SVT. Here's the settings. So let's peel back some of these layers. Let me do it from here. Peel back some of these layers. This is just the SVT preamp on here, or amp model, whatever. Actually, you know, that doesn't sound too far off from where I would keep my SGT. So, you know, it's not far off. It's not it, but it ain't far off. And then you add that with the IR. So then at that point, you know, you're really getting into business. Add on the limiter. So, you know, you just get further and further into business there. Towards that finished sound, they really won't have to do much to it when they get to the board, you know. And that's just my special comp and the B6 with the solid state 2 on. Here's without the DI types on at all. Here's with it, tube 1. Tube 2. Solid state 1. Solid state 2. So that's the, you know, my full SVT setup. That's what I call it on the B6. And here's my full Aguilar setup on there as well. And this I would use for more like jazz settings. So I would probably, you know, if I wanted a darker tone, go with tube 1. If I wanted more clarity, I would go with tube 2. So let me peel back some of these layers real quick first. So here's just the Aguilar and my settings. So that would be that setting there. Um, let's add on the R. Hold up. I think we already had the R. Sorry, guys. Doo-doo. This is without the R. So with the R, with the limiter. So, that would be the Aguilar setup, I guess. And the reason I have this set up like this, so I have the amp model running before the Synth because normally if I'm running something, if I am running an amp, I'm going to be running into the return at this point a lot of times, or I do want this preamp sound to run into that preamp. Like on my Ampeg BA210, it sounds good when other preamps run into that amp. But say like the Harkey TX600 head doesn't sound good when other preamps run into it. So there I run straight into the return or the power amp in. And on the TC Electronic BH500 head, I run straight into the preamp because I don't have a choice. And but with that amp, I have enough options to tailor the sound to where I can get it to mimic whatever sound I want. Really, with that head, I just want to run into the preamp. I kind of like the way it sounds. So there's times when I don't even use the preamps on my board. Like if I'm running that TC Electronic BH500 head with my TC Electronic BC410 cabinet, I want that exact sound. Like I want that exact sound. I don't want anything. So, but in situations like I'm running with theaters and doing different things like that, these days they all want in-ear stuff, no amps at all. So, this is the different options I have for them, when it comes to tones, for different songs. You want to just have some options options make people comfortable, I guess. I'm not switching basses. I'm not carrying around 2, 3 basses. I like the bass I have. Could I get another bass? Sure. Do I want another bass at the moment? Maybe. Depends on who talked to me. But I need somebody to talk to me. And I'm talking about a company. But yeah, as we grow, as y'all help me grow, it'll make it a lot easier to find a company that'll want to accommodate me with a new bass. But in terms of effects pedals and things like this and live setups, this is just how I do it. What you're looking, like I said, what you're looking at on the left bottom hand corner is my iPad setup linked to my Zoom B6. So this is just the extra effects you can't see on screen. You can't see on the B6 over here off to the side. It might be a little more difficult to see, but hopefully that helped you guys out. There's my limiter setting again. It's the same for all of them. IR setting, the Aguilar tweeter with a tweeter setting. And again, I'm running the send to my amp. So I don't get any of the IR, any of the no limiter, and none of the room reverb on the other settings on the amp tone. None of that's going to the amp. All this is running through to the dry signal. So the dry signal just passes through, goes to these, goes to the direct out, which I have running a XLR to a Zoom L12 live track mixer. So that's pretty much my whole signal path at the moment. I just kind of wanted to give you guys something. Maybe this helps you out. Set up your own live settings. Pedals like the Eden and the Ampeg SDT DI have compressors on them. So if you don't want to have to buy a Spectra comp or you don't have the money to at the moment, if you only can get a preamp or something like that, you can find the Eden one used. The SDT one's about $5. The Aguilar ones are like $400, $500, $400. You can find one of them Edens used for probably like $100, $90, maybe even $80. The Spectra comp pedals, you can find those used for probably about $80. Just gotta look. And what else I got on here that might be good to look up? And of course, if you guys is really on a budget and you need a live setup, right? Get you a MS60B. It'll have amp models in there, all that stuff. They're not as good as the Zoom P6s, but they are good enough to get you through, and they sound great for the price. That unit is going for like $120. Or you can get one of the other Zoom pedals, hack it. There's little Zoom hacks you could do where you can take a MS70 CDR with stereo inputs and outputs, put all your MS60B stuff on there, run your stereo setup through there if you wanted to, or the same thing with the MS50G, But yeah, so for general, and this is just my general tones. We're not talking about all the synth stuff. We ain't get to all that yet. We probably won't get to that in this video. I'm just giving you guys just my basic tone structure. So basically it's really just preamp, Spectra comp, and then everything else is done on the Zoom B6, like the IRs and everything else. So when I'm running in those settings you just saw, this this one right here is when I'm running just the Zoom B6. Like, say I don't want to take nothing else. I just want to take my Zoom. This is how I would get my tone that way without taking my pedal board through the in-ears. Same thing with the Ampeg setup. But if I have my full setup, this is what it looks like. We went over these already. So, and I just have like a little bass stereo chorus added in there as an extra effect. If I want it, I can just hit it, turn it on. So, you pretty much want to simplify your live setup as much as possible. Like I said, most of the time, lately, I just been keeping that Aguilar on with the Spectra comp running into the Zoom B6 and I in ear and then running into the in ears and it's been fine. It's nice. If I need any other additional tone shaping, I just do it with my bass. So, that's generally the tone I would go with for fingerstyle. Of course, slap and pop, I would just pop in my little switch here. I have a Aguilar OP3 preamp in this bass. So I have a 3-band switch and I also can pull the mids, some low mids to high mids. So, slap and pop. And that's just with the highs flat. That's what's crazy. Eating. Ampeg. They all have their different characteristics about them. So, just depends on what you. Just depends on what you're going for at the moment. But you want to just have those options, And normally, because I don't have to turn those on and on, normally I just keep it like that on my iPad, and I can just bam. So as you can see, which IR patch I choose makes a huge difference. Which preamp I choose to match with it makes a huge difference. Like that excuse me. That gives me a ton of different options just without even changing my sound or my bass, just slap and pop options. That was just all the slap and pop options I have right there. And that's just with that bank. I can just switch banks, go to, match it with a SWR cabinet if I wanted to, do an Ampeg with a SWR 410 with a tweeter. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not sure what's going on with the bass here. Come on now. So EBS cabinet. So, let's see what we got here. Mark bass rig, take all these preamps off. Let's see what we got on this Mark bass rig, man. Or I could just run these preamps. I love these preamps. These are my favorite preamps on here too. So this is the preamp I was just playing through. These are the settings for that that I'm using. This is the preamp I was playing through right at the exact moment. So, I have quite a few different options that I use for live stuff. Just depends on what I'm doing. I even have like a full EBS rig, I guess, like emulation. So that would be the EBS rig. Tried to make a Choice Elliott rig, but I don't know if I like it a lot. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. So yeah, I made that just in case I wanted to use it. I'm not really probably going to use it. All the ones I'm going to use are probably these are. This is the main bank I use right here with these four, and then also, have my backup stuff like right the bank right before stuff I might use. Then I have stuff I might want to use. Probably not. Then I have the least likely stuff I'm going to use, but potential. So, see, you got to fix that, bro. I got to be able to tap more than once per every 5 seconds, like before it shuts down. Like now it's got to reconnect. Look at all this. Look at all. Come on, Zoom. Y'all know I love y'all. Y'all know I got all y'all stuff. I love y'all stuff. Praise y'all all the time. The I gotta give y'all some stuff right here with this Bluetooth joint that cost me extra $40 that keep needing to be reconnected. Come on. We can't keep doing that. But I do love how, you got everything you need. If I wanted to do a loop right here, I could, I could set it up, however many quarter notes I wanted to be, you know. So I just wanted 2 bars. 2 bars is 8 quarter notes. You know what I'm saying? Bam, you can set everything up from here, go to your rhythm, set your BPM. And I would normally do this looping part on my pedal because I don't want to have to touch no iPad to get no party started. And then you just hit overdub. And then you just got you a loop there. It don't take but a few seconds. And surprisingly, that wasn't that bad using the iPad to do it. It wasn't as cumbersome as I thought it would be. But I still would prefer to do that with my feet because it would be just a smoother transition. I wouldn't have to leave it. I had to leave it open to make it that smooth. But then you got access to everything from here. All your other loops, stuff. I wish they let you name the loops. That would be nice. See it clear. And bam. So yeah, that's pretty much my live setup now. That's why I don't have a looper on my pedal board anymore because I use the Zoom B6 as my main looper, and I have an SD card in it. Only thing I don't like is, like I said, if I want to go to loops, I gotta memorize the number of these loops. Like I don't know what none of these loops are. Like if they could do an update where I could name these or something, that would be very useful. If they can do an update where somehow I could maybe do like they have on the memory mode. What is it? What is it? Yeah. If they could do something like they do on the memory mode and allow me to have like 4 loops queued up, that would be dope. That would be dope too. Like have like 4 loops. I could just, I could create a loop here, have one loop here, another loop there, another loop there, another loop there. That would help me out and be able to organize them in the banks the same way we do the presets. That would be killing. Along with being able to name them like we do the presets, that would be great. You know, that way I can at least know somewhat what I'm doing with them. I know. On the Digitech one, I had to write down the numbers on my set list. I'll write down the number of the loop next to it. So I mean, I guess I could do that with the B6 too. I'm just getting spoiled because they getting so good at it. But if they wanted to add that little feature, they could send me some bread for that idea, and they could have it. They ain't gonna send me nothing. They're just gonna take that junk. But it's cool though. As long as y'all send me some gear at some point, I'll be all right. Zoom, y'all definitely need to holler at me. I've sold quite a bit of things for y'all. So, but yeah. So other than that stuff, I have like I told you guys, my pedalboard broken down into 3 different effects loop. First effects loop is OC5, Poly Blue, MS60R. I mean MS60R. That's the MS60B. I'm sorry. Um, Second loop is the bass balls and MXR bass envelope filter. And the third loop is the Key 9 and the MS50G. And with everything is always running through all of my preamps, which all have true bypass, as well as my Spectra comp, which has like a extra little buffer system that actually gives my helps my signal over long periods. Same thing with the B6 from straight from the Spectra comp. I go straight into the B6. So yeah, that's my whole live setup, guys. I hope that helps you in some way. Um, you just want to be thoughtful in the size and what you need at the moment. And then when I'm doing more solo shows, my pedal board is much bigger than this because I need more sounds. But if I'm doing like just my regular bass shows with or playing with different artists, or like I'm going to do this theater run in October for Macbeth, this is going to be my setup. It's nice and easy for me to maneuver. The sound techs are gonna love it because it's already put together. They ain't really don't have to do nothing but keep it flat. Maybe EQ it a little bit for the house, but they ain't gonna have to, work themselves hard to make me sound good. I've already done a lot of that work before, so hopefully, you guys kind of understanding how you seeing some of my settings with my preamps there. Um, but I actually set up my preamps pretty similar. All of them are pretty set up pretty similar. But they all just have different sounds. So and even if I set them up similarly, they're not going to sound the same. The Eden doesn't sound like Aguilar, and none of them sound like Ampeg. They all sound totally different. So definitely check them all out. Hopefully these videos help you decide what you would like to do with your setup, or how you would like to set up your pedal board, or your Zoom B6 for your live stuff. But if you got a Zoom B6, go ahead. If you got an iPad, go ahead and get that extra Bluetooth. It's definitely, I didn't think it would be worth it, but I ended up using it a lot. And like as I've got, I thought, okay, I can just do everything on a unit. And a lot of stuff like turning knobs I do prefer to do on a unit versus doing on an iPad. I be missing my exact. If I'm going for -13, it might give me a hard time to get to exactly -13 with the iPad, but with the knobs, it's exactly on. So stuff like that, yes. And I prefer to keep the pedal, um, the Zoom B6 on the floor, so I can do my live stuff, my looping stuff. It's harder to switch patches, while I'm playing, if I gotta always move my hands from my bass. If I keep that on the floor and have an iPad on the stand, I now have access to change stuff in between songs with my hands and do a little bit more if I need to. But I can just keep it simple during songs and switch stuff with my feet. And when it's set up in this mode where it's switching between patches on the Zoom B6, these pedals down bottom here allow you to, each one of those becomes a patch. So, that helps as well. So now I'm just switching between patches by clicking each pedal. I'm turning on different effects. So it effect patches, versus individual effects. So keep all that stuff in mind when you're setting up your live stuff. Try to match volumes. Try to know that what would be too much on the volumes for audio engineer to deal with, or the sound engineer. You don't want to make their job any harder, just like they shouldn't make your job any harder. So you want to go in there sounding good, have some decent strings on there, have your bass sounding decent. I got to do some work to mine, as you guys can hear. I had some little technical difficulties, stuff I got to work out before I go in there, so I don't be having them like, oh, I'm getting a little fuzz, or I'm getting a little, whatever, distortion, whatever. You want a nice clean signal. So one of the things I'm going to do is probably switch out this cable. I build on my own cables and stuff anyway, so I might just repair this one and put it back together and go from there and see if that helps solve the issue. If that doesn't solve the issue, then I'll go digging up in my bass a little bit. But if you don't have the technical expertise, definitely look up somebody that can do that. But even my frets, I'm gonna have somebody do my frets before I do that, because I am getting some buzz. See, it's not there. It's not there, and it's not there when I. So I gotta get that, my frets redone. Not redone, but have them resurfaced and all that, or whatever they're gonna do, polish them. But yeah, all these different things play a role in how you operate on stage, and they can make your life easier. Yes, it's a little pricey to get in the game, but once you got it set up, you was gonna buy this stuff anyway. Stop playing. You was gonna buy effects pedals anyway. You love them. I love them. I was gonna buy them anyway. It's just I had to find a way to incorporate them into my live stuff easily. Even on the MS60B, I'm not fiddling with no individual effects on there, even though I use presets, and they're in alphabetical order, and their name, is big enough where I can see them on stage. Just like, okay, I need a synth setting, bam, kick on. I have my keep my OC5 on a particular setting, and I keep my Poly Blue on a particular setting most of the time. Can I change them? Yes. But during the show, am I feeling with this stuff? No. No. I'm trying to play. I'm trying to be in the moment, make sure I'm not missing nothing. Because guess what? Your job is to be accurate as a musician as much as possible. So, having things set up in this manner is a little more efficient. If this is too much for you to manage, just get a B6 and an iPad, or run. If you got an iPhone, it'll run on your iPhone as well. You don't have to get an iPad. But I like the iPad for the size of the screen. I can do different things, as well as if I need my sheet music, I can read it smack off of my iPad. On iReal B, or what's the other program? Let me see. I mostly just run iReal-B on here. I ain't gonna lie, but yeah, that definitely it makes a huge difference. And you see how it has to connect this. Zoom, fix this, bro. Like nothing should take this long to connect Bluetooth. Come on, nothing else these days takes this long. Y'all gotta update that, you know. But I definitely appreciate y'all hanging out with me today, guys. This has been another All Bass Creations Effects tutorials, demos, and review. Check out my music, allbasscreations.bandcamp and .com, and find me on all social media at the Bass Niggas. And guys, I just can't I can't say how much I appreciate you guys' support lately. You guys really been coming through, and really helping me increase my numbers and get me to where I'm trying to some of my goals. So I definitely appreciate you guys. As long as you guys keep watching, I'm gonna keep filming and I'm gonna keep giving you this bass knowledge. And I'm the Bass Niggas, and I'll catch you the next time. Peace.